Gardner Minshew was a darling of the TV networks and the online media last year because he was the first interesting thing that has ever happened to the Jaguars. And really, in an NFL season, there's 32 teams and everybody clamors over the same series of storylines. Is Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers getting along? Does Tom Brady have what it takes to lead the Patriots back to a Super Bowl? Can Kirk Cousins get over the hump? We have the same storylines every year in the NFL, and those were a lot of last year's storylines. And then the Jaguars seemed to be afterthoughts. They had signed Nick Foles. He was immediately injured. The Jaguars are usually irrelevant, and here comes a backup quarterback that seemed to have more confidence than he was supposed to have, and he looked like Uncle Rico. He had a funky mustache. He had a funny origin story at Washington State, and he was playing to type. He was willing to be weird, and the Jaguars wanted him to be weird because that was the only interesting thing about them. And then TV producers and online journalists and media outlets said, this is interesting because finally there's something interesting going on in Jacksonville. And so I would agree with your point that he leaned into it quite a bit. Had he just played down the middle, straight shooter, no character, no mustache, no getup, no living in a van, no NFL game day features, had he just played it down the middle straight, he wouldn't have the notoriety that he has. But don't let that sway you from realizing he's a pretty good quarterback. I'm not saying he's great. I never did. But I said when he got into last year's Jaguars offense, he gave him some life. He gave him some juice. And this year, you have to be able to say the same exact thing. He's given that team some juice. And isn't that all we're looking for out of a 6th-round draft pick in his second year with the Jaguars, who seem to be trying to tank for Trevor Lawrence? He gave him juice.